For 25 years, I was the family disappointment while my brother could do no wrong. I finally left and built a new life. Now he's facing embezzlement charges and they're begging me to help. I never thought I'd be writing this post, but here I am. It's a long story, so buckle up. For as long as I can remember, I was always the black sheep of my family. My older brother, Jake, was the golden child who could do no wrong. He was smart, athletic, charismatic, everything our parents wanted in a son. Me? I was the awkward, nerdy kid who preferred reading books to playing sports and struggled to fit in socially. From an early age, the difference in how we were treated was painfully obvious. Jake's report cards were proudly displayed on the fridge, while mine were met with disappointed sighs and lectures about applying myself. When Jake scored the winning touchdown in his high school football game, our parents threw a massive party. When I won the state science fair, they barely acknowledged it. As we grew older, the gap only widened. Jake breezed through college on a football scholarship, joined a prestigious fraternity, and landed a high-paying job at a top financial firm right after graduation. I struggled with undiagnosed ADHD, barely scraped by in my classes, and ended up working a series of dead-end retail jobs after college. Family gatherings were a nightmare. Relatives would fawn over Jake's latest accomplishments while I sat in the corner, trying to become invisible. The constant comparisons were relentless. Why can't you be more like your brother? Jake's already making 6 figures, and you're still working at the mall? When are you going to get your life together? My parents weren't much better. They'd lecture me about my lack of ambition and how I was wasting my potential. Meanwhile, Jake could do no wrong in their eyes. When he totaled his car while driving drunk, they rushed to his defense and bought him a new one. When I asked for help with my student loans, I was told to be more responsible with money. The final straw came on my 25th birthday. I had finally saved up enough to go back to school for a computer science degree, something I was genuinely excited about. At my birthday dinner, I announced my plans, hoping for some support or encouragement. Instead, my mom sighed and said, "Honey, don't you think it's time to grow up and get a real job? Look at Jake, he's already talking about making partner at his firm." Jake, ever the golden child, chimed in with, "Yeah, bro. Maybe it's time to accept that the tech thing isn't for you. I could probably get you an entry-level position at my company if you want." I looked around the table, hoping someone would defend me or show even a glimmer of support. But all I saw were pitying looks and nods of agreement with Jake's generous offer. Something in me snapped that day. I realized that no matter what I did, I would always be the disappointment in their eyes. So, I made a decision that would change my life forever. The next day, I withdrew from my family's life completely. I blocked their numbers, unfriended them on social media, and moved to a new apartment without telling them my address. It was hard and lonely at first, but for the first time in my life, I felt free. I threw myself into my studies with a passion I never knew I had. Without the constant negativity and comparisons, I thrived. I graduated at the top of my class and landed a job at a promising tech startup. Over the next 5 years, I built a life I was proud of. I worked my way up in the company, eventually becoming the lead software architect. I made real friends who appreciated me for who I was. I even met an amazing woman, Sarah, who became my wife and biggest supporter. I won't lie, there were times when I missed my family. Holidays were especially hard. But whenever I felt weak and considered reaching out, I remembered all the years of pain and rejection. I reminded myself that I deserved better, and I stayed strong in my decision. Then, last week, everything changed. I was at work when I got a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. It was my mother, and she was crying. Through her sobs, she told me that Jake had been arrested. Apparently, he had been embezzling millions of dollars from his firm for years. The scandal was all over the news, and our family was being torn apart. She begged me to come home, saying they needed me now more than ever. That they were sorry for how they treated me and that they realized now how wrong they had been. I was stunned. Part of me felt a twisted sense of satisfaction. The golden child had fallen from grace. But mostly, I felt conflicted and overwhelmed. Over the next few days, the calls and messages kept coming. My dad left a voicemail, his voice breaking as he pleaded for my help. Even some of my aunts and uncles reached out, suddenly remembering my existence now that Jake wasn't there to overshadow me. The most surprising call came from Jake himself. He was out on bail, awaiting trial. He sounded broken, a far cry from the confident, arrogant brother I remembered. He apologized for how he had treated me and admitted that he had always been jealous of my intelligence and integrity. "I know I have no right to ask this," he said, "but I need your help. You're the only one smart enough to possibly find a way out of this mess. I didn't know how to respond. On one hand, the hurt and resentment of 25 years don't just disappear overnight. The rational part of me says I owe them nothing after how they treated me. I've built a good life for myself, and I'm not sure I want to risk my hard-earned peace by letting them back in. But on the other hand, they're still my family. Despite everything, there's a small part of me that still loves them and hates to see them suffering. And I can't help but wonder, is this my chance to finally prove my worth to them? To show them how wrong they were about me all along? Sarah thinks I should hear them out, at least. She comes from a loving, supportive family and believes in second chances. But she also says she'll support me no matter what I decide. My friends are divided. Some think I should tell them to pound sand, that they made their bed and now they have to lie in it. Others think this could be an opportunity for healing and reconciliation. I'm torn. Reddit. Part of me wants to ignore their pleas and continue living my life. But another part is curious about what would happen if I went back. Could things actually be different this time? Or am I setting myself up for more pain and disappointment? There's also the ethical dilemma. Jake committed a serious crime, and a lot of innocent people probably got hurt because of his actions. Would helping him be the right thing to do? Or would I be compromising my own integrity? I've been tossing and turning for days, unable to make a decision. So now I turn to you, Reddit. What should I do? Should I go back and help my family? Or should I maintain my distance and prioritize the life and happiness I've built for myself? If I do go back, how do I protect myself emotionally? How do I set boundaries and ensure I'm not falling back into old, toxic patterns? And if I decide not to help, how do I deal with the guilt? How do I move forward knowing my family is struggling and I chose not to intervene? I know this is a complex situation with no easy answers. But any advice or perspective you can offer would be greatly appreciated. I feel like I'm standing at a crossroads, and whichever path I choose will irreversibly change the course of my life. Thank you for reading this far. Writing it all out has been cathartic in a way. I've never really shared my full story before, and it feels both liberating and terrifying to put it all out there like this. I'll try to respond to comments and answer any questions. Maybe talking it through will help me gain some clarity. Right now, I feel lost and confused, torn between the family I left behind and the life I've built for myself. Whatever happens, I know I'm not the same insecure, beaten down person I was 5 years ago. I've grown, I've healed, mostly, and I've proven to myself that I have value, regardless of what my family thinks. I just hope I have the strength and wisdom to make the right choice now. So, Reddit, what would you do in my shoes? Edit. Wow, I didn't expect this post to blow up like it did. Thank you all for your thoughtful responses and support. It means more than you know. To address some common questions/comments. 1. Yes, I've considered therapy and I'm actually looking into it now. This situation has brought up a lot of old wounds and I think having a professional to talk to would be helpful. 2. For those asking about legal implications, I'm not a lawyer and I have no intention of doing anything illegal to help Jake. If I do decide to get involved, it would be more about emotional support and possibly helping to find a good lawyer. 3. Many of you have suggested meeting with them in a neutral location before making any decisions. I think this is wise advice and something I'm seriously considering. 4. To those sharing similar stories, thank you. It helps to know I'm not alone in this kind of family dynamic. 5. For those curious about my career, I'm doing well. The startup I work for has been growing rapidly and I recently got promoted to CTO. It's surreal sometimes to think about how far I've come. I'm still processing all of your advice and insights. This isn't a decision I can make overnight, but you've all given me a lot to think about. I'll post an update once I've decided what to do. Again, thank you all. Your support and perspectives mean more than you know. Here's an update to the original post. Update: it's been a month since my original post, and a lot has happened. I want to thank everyone for their advice and support. It really helped me navigate this difficult situation. Here's what's gone down. After much deliberation, I decided to meet with my parents and Jake. Many of you suggested a neutral location, which turned out to be great advice. We met at a coffee shop in a neighboring town. The meeting was intense. There were tears, apologies, and a lot of uncomfortable silence. My parents seemed genuinely remorseful, but old habits die hard. My mom still made a few comments that showed she hadn't fully grasped how hurtful their behavior had been. Dad was quieter, but I could see the shame in his eyes. Jake was a shell of his former self. The arrogant golden child was gone, replaced by a man facing the consequences of his actions for the first time in his life. He apologized profusely for how he'd treated me and admitted that his crime stemmed partly from the pressure to maintain his perfect image. I listened to them all, but I also spoke my truth. I told them about the pain and damage their favoritism had caused, how it had affected my self-esteem and mental health. I explained why I had to leave and how much happier and healthier I've been since then. It wasn't easy, but it felt liberating to finally say these things out loud to them. They listened, and for once, they didn't try to dismiss or minimize my feelings. After that meeting, I took some time to process everything. I had several sessions with a therapist, thank you to those who suggested this, to work through my emotions and decide on my next steps. Ultimately, I decided to cautiously allow my family back into my life, but with very firm boundaries. 1. I made it clear that I wouldn't be directly involved in Jake's legal issues. I helped him find a good lawyer, but that's the extent of my involvement in that aspect. 2. I told my parents that any future relationship would be contingent on them respecting my boundaries and treating me as an equal to Jake. No more comparisons, no more dismissing my accomplishments. 3. I insisted on family therapy if they wanted to rebuild our relationship. Surprisingly, they agreed. 4. I maintained my separate life. I didn't give them my home address or introduce them to Sarah yet. I told them that would come with time if things went well. It's been a challenging month. We've had 2 family therapy sessions so far. There have been some heated moments and difficult conversations, but also some breakthroughs. My parents are slowly starting to understand the depth of the damage their behavior caused. Jake's legal troubles are ongoing. He's cooperating with the authorities, which might help his case, but he's still facing significant jail time. Seeing him take responsibility for his actions has been surreal. As for me, I'm taking it one day at a time. There are moments when I question my decision to let them back in, but overall, I think it was the right choice for me. I'm not expecting miracles, but I'm cautiously optimistic about the possibility of building a healthier relationship with my family. Some updates on my personal life. 1. Sarah has been incredibly supportive throughout this whole process. She's agreed to meet my parents next month if the therapy continues to go well. 2. My company's board of directors learned about the situation. Small town, news travels fast. They've been unexpectedly understanding and supportive. My CEO even shared that he had gone through something similar with his own family. 3. I've started opening up to some close friends about my family history. Their support has been overwhelming and has helped me feel less alone in this. 4. The therapy has inspired me to start journaling. It's been a helpful tool for processing my emotions and tracking the progress, or setbacks, in rebuilding my family relationships. Looking ahead, I know there's still a long road ahead. Rebuilding trust and healing old wounds takes time. I'm prepared for setbacks and I know there will be days when it feels like we're moving backwards. But for now, I'm cautiously hopeful. I'm proud of myself for facing this head-on instead of running away. I'm setting boundaries, prioritizing my mental health, and not compromising the life I've built. Whether this leads to a reconciliation or not, I know I'm approaching it in a healthy way. Thank you again, Reddit, for all your support and advice. It really did make a difference in how I handled this situation. I may post another update down the line if there are significant developments. For now, I'm taking it one day at a time, focusing on my own growth, and cautiously exploring what a healthier family dynamic might look like. Edit. Wow, the response to this update has been overwhelming. Thank you all for your continued support and encouragement. To address a few common questions. 1. Yes, I'm still maintaining my own separate life. Reconciliation doesn't mean sacrificing the independence and happiness I've found. 2. No, I haven't lent Jake or my parents any money, nor do I intend to. That's a firm boundary for me. 3. Sarah and I are doing great. This situation has actually brought us closer together, and I'm grateful every day for her support. 4. For those asking about my career, things are going well. This situation hasn't negatively impacted my work, and if anything, dealing with it head-on has helped me grow as a leader. 5. To those sharing similar stories or saying this has inspired you to address your own family issues, I'm humbled and grateful that my experience could help others. Remember to prioritize your own well-being and seek professional help if needed. Thank you all again. Your support means more than you know.